Good evening, everyone. Among the mitzvot which appear in this week's parsha, the Torah tells us, Ki tivneh bayit chadash, when you build for yourself a new home, v'yasita ma'akeh legagecha. So the halacha is that you have to build a fence, a barrier for the roof, if the roof is a flat roof, which it was always in this part of the world, because the roof was used for almost another room, or it was used to dry produce there. So, and the same halacha applies if you have a balcony outside your apartment. So you have to build a makeh. The makeh has, the Gemara says, has to be 10 tfachim minimum. And the Torah gives us the reason itself. Ki yipol hanofel mimenu. Because somebody can fall off, God forbid, if it's unprotected. So we always are hearing, unfortunately, tragic events here of workers in buildings and scaffolds, etc., that somehow fall off. So there are a great many injuries and unfortunately even deaths. So the Torah wants to prevent it. And that's an extension of the lav shebeklolos, of the general lav, of lo sosim domim beveisecha. You should not have in your house things that are dangerous. The Gemara says you're not allowed to have a kelev ra. They have a dog that's aggressive, because the pasuk says lo sasim domim beveisecha. There are people that don't get along with dogs. So this is a general rule, not to have dangerous situations or aggressive situations occur in one's house. So why does it say kisiv them bayis chodosh? It should just say ki yevacho bayis. If you have a house, makeh ta'aseh legagecha. Make sure it has a makeh. What does it have to do with bayis chodosh? A new house. So there are many perushim. One of the perushim is, again, because Moshe is describing the entry of the Jewish people into Eretz Israel, and therefore to them it will be a bayis chodosh. If they take over the houses of the Canaanites, or if they build a new house. So Moshe, the diber behove, Moshe is talking about current times, his times. So if you're coming out of the desert, 40 years living out in the open, so to speak, so it's always a bayis chodosh. But that pshat has not been overly accepted. So there's a piece here in the Hamik Dover. Hamik Dover is a commentary to Chumash by Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, the Netziv, the Rosh Yeshiva of Volozhin, one of the great men of the 19th century. and he has a parish to Chumash called the Hamik Dover. My Zayda told me, my Zayda was in Volozhin, that after Shachris every morning, the Netziv would have a shiur in Chumash for a half hour. And from that shiur in Chumash, in the yeshiva, there developed this sefer, the Hamik Dover, on one of the classic later Perushim to Chumash. My Zayda also told me that the shiur was very poorly attended because the yeshiva light felt that it was beneath their dignity to learn Chumash. That was for Balabatim, that wasn't for B'nai Torah. So we only had a small number of students who attended the Chumash shiur every day. But from that Chumash shiur, we have this great parish of the Hamik Dover. There's a companion parish that he wrote, dealing purely with halachic matters, that's called the Harchiv Dover. In any event, so the Netziv asks the question as follows, different question. Kisivne Bayis Chodosh, if we're talking about a man building a new home, when you build a home, what is the first mitzvah that falls into your mind? Mezuzah. We say it every day in Kriya Shema. And not only that, I wouldn't hazard to say this with certainty, but I think we can agree that mezuzah is a widely accepted mitzvah. Even people that unfortunately don't have other mitzvahs, but people have mezuzahs on their house. I once read that here in Israel, I don't know how they took this survey, but they had over 85% of all the homes in Israel have at least a mezuzah on the outside. And we see that in all the office buildings, the hotels, everything. Everybody has a mezuzah. And people feel that the mezuzah is, so to speak, a protection for the home. The mezuzah bears the Shem Hashem Shin Daled Yud Shakai, and people say that that stands for the abbreviation of the three Hebrew words Shomer Dalsos Yisrael. It guards the entryways, the doors of the Jewish people. So the Netziv says, why didn't the Torah write, Kisivne Bayis Chodosh, V'asisa mezuzah l'shorecha? You should make a mezuzah for your house. So he gives a technical teretz to Netziv. The halacha is that in Chutz La'aretz, you're not obligated to put up a mezuzah on your house for the first 30 days that you're in the house. Because in Chutz La'aretz, you're not considered to be a resident until for 30 days. So therefore, there is a period of time between the time you're in the house and the time of Chiyuv Mezuzah, but a makeh, you're chayav immediately. You cannot live at even a minute in your house without having a makeh legagecha, without having this protective barrier built for the roof or the balcony open space. And therefore, he says that's why the Torah mentioned Makeh here and did not mention mezuzah. So that's a technical teretz that's mentioned in the Hamikdavar. But there's a general teretz that also was said that perhaps has resonance to us, and that is, a person has to safeguard one's home. There are many dangers to one's home. Many intrusions that are not positive. Many things that can destroy a house. Ki yipol hanofel mimenu. Unless you have fences in your house, unless you have a makeh in your house, discipline, things that we don't do, and then the house is in terrible danger. Ki yipol hanofel mimenu. And mezuzah will not protect you from that. You can have a house full of mezuzahs. Terrible things go on there. So the Torah wanted us to be aware of that. And therefore, when you build a house, the first thing you have to do is have a makeh. You have to have a line. This is permissible, this is not. This is proper, this is not. This is what we do. That's the makeh. Because otherwise the Torah warns us, ki yipol hanofel mimenu. And that's especially true, you see, even the Bayis Chodesh. People come to build a new life. A young couple getting married. People move to new homes, move to new areas. So many times they are lost. They don't have any direction as to what to do. So the Torah says if you have a makeh, the makeh is what the Torah taught us in terms of mitzvahs and behavior. So then we are on solid ground. And then we will be safe and we won't be in the situation ki yipol hanofel mimenu, that people fall because of it. And we were talking here, fall morally, spiritually, socially. How many times did that happen? And it's especially true when people move, when we, the immigration is a difficult task. You leave things that were certain and they're no longer are there. And you have to rebuild your own character, so to speak. So then you need help. Mezuzah, as great as that mitzvah is, will not do it for you. Only the building of a makeh will. And that's the idea that the Torah wanted to impart to us, that that's this mitzvah that stands out in this week's parsha. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer, Otsa Kodesh Baruch Hu l'zakos es Yisrael, Aficha chiber lahem Torah mitzvot shenemar Aranoi chavei tzman sitko yagdil Torah v'yadir.